Us right now is Congressman Peter King, member of the Homeland Security Committee. Good morning, Congressman. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
Good morning, Maria.
Congressman, let me kick it off with your thoughts on what needs to be done now in terms of Homeland Security and keeping the homeland safe in America.
Well, there's really two parts to that. One is we have to keep attacking them overseas, increase the attacks overseas. I think what President Hollande is doing makes sense. We have to do that. I wish our president showed the leadership that the French president is showing. Sustained attacks overseas, and that means having certain numbers of troops on the ground to provide intelligence, to be spotters. So we have to stay on offense. Defensively, we have to put political correctness aside. We have to realize here in the United States, the threat, if it comes, is going to come from the Muslim community, and there has to be, I believe, increased surveillance in the Muslim communities, the same as we did with the Italian and the Irish communities when we're going after gangsters and organized crime in those communities. That's the reality. We have to put political correctness aside, and right now, if there is going to be an attack from within the country, it's going to come from the Muslim community, and I would hope that the Muslim community would reach out and ask the police to come in, if they would actually tell them what's going on in the mosques. We have to, just in the last 14 years, there's been 16 attempted attacks in New York City. They've been stopped. But we have to now realize with ISIS that those attempted attacks are going to intensify. We have to stand with the police, forget what the New York Times has to say, forget what the Civil Liberties Union has to say, and let them do their job.
In fact, Congressman, you know, the French were so fast in terms of responding with those 20 bombs at specific ISIS targets. Let me ask you this, because the French did work with the United States in terms of dropping those bombs on ISIS recruitment centers, on various ISIS headquarters within Syria. If we knew exactly where those locations were beforehand, why did we need to see another terrorist attack and 129 people dead in Paris before we actually moved on those ISIS targets before? Why did we need another terrorist attack before moving on those targets?
Maria, I agree with you completely. Those targets should have been taken out a year ago. They should have been taken out months ago. And the fact that the French were able to take them out so quickly raises the question, why have they been there all along? Why are these attacks being so half-hearted? Also, Maria, if I could add one thing which I should have mentioned before, that's on the refugee issue. We're a nation that opens its door to refugees, but this Syrian issue is different because we have no way of vetting who these refugees are. And when the president and his people say that we are vetting them, that is totally untrue. It is a lie. We are not able to vet them. And we're told this by the FBI. We're told this by the people who are carrying out the supposed vetting. There are no databases. There are no records. There's no way of knowing who these people are. And the fact that one of the attackers may well have been a Syrian refugee just adds to that. But again, we know that ISIS wants to infiltrate these terrorists into the country with the refugees. So it's totally wrong what they're trying to do.
I think
there should be a moratorium on the refugees.
I think you make a really important point, Congressman, and I wonder where that conversation stands right now, because the fact is the Syrian government how are they going to give us any information on refugees at this point? I mean, practically speaking, what does a vetting involve? I mean, how do you vet somebody who's at our borders wanting to come in when we don't even have any confidence in terms of the government in Syria giving us the actual information? You said that there is no data, there is no records. Do you think people understand that? I mean, we could say yes as long as we vet them. How do you vet them?
You can't. And when you talk to the people doing the vetting, they tell you they cannot vet them. They do. They ask them questions. They look them in the eye. And if you don't believe that the ISIS people can lie and fake their way in, then we're living in a crazy world altogether. No, there is no way. There is no way of vetting. It's not even like that it's an inadequate system. There is no system. There's no way it can be done. When I see Ben Rhodes, the top White House advisor yesterday on national television talking about how we're doing vetting, it's just not true.
Well, let me ask you about how this could have happened here in France. I mean, what is the number of people that you know of, Congressman, that have traveled back and forth from France to Syria? And what are the numbers in terms of the U.S., the people that we know, that we've been tracking and we've been following, that have traveled from the U.S. to Syria? How is it that we missed this communication, and they were so sophisticated in terms of setting up these attacks, these coordinated attacks throughout Paris? And then, of course, there's all the information around technology and how we missed conversations during the planning of this. Can you talk to us a bit about what we know and how that was missed?
Yeah, now as far as the French, there's no way of knowing exactly how many have gone from France to Syria, but the numbers range from 1,500 to 2,000. This is up to 2,000 French citizens have gone to Syria to fight, to be trained as terrorists. Then they work their way back into Europe. And so you have at least several hundred that have come back that they think they know of. And then you have the fact that there's a very radical Muslim element in Paris, besides those 200 or 300 that may have come back. So it's very difficult for the French to monitor all of this activity. It takes a large number of personnel, and now we have, with the encrypted technology, that these terrorists are able to communicate with one another, and it can't be followed by the intelligence agencies because the communications are encrypted. So you put all that together. Now, that's no excuse. They have to find a way to stay on top of this, but that's probably the reason why they were able to get away with this and able to plan. I was really surprised, though, you could have such a sophisticated, large-scale operation as this planned and carried out without some tripwire going off along the way. And that's really a warning signal.
Is this going to be the kind of 9/11 incident that changes the course of history, that changes the dialogue going into the next presidential election, Congressman? Or do you think this is just the new normal that we all have to get used to?
No, we can't accept it as being the new normal, and I'm hoping if anything good can come from a horrible tragedy like this, that this will wake up the American people, wake up the presidential candidates, stop having people like Rand Paul saying do away with the NSA, stop saying that this is just up to the Arabs or the people in the Middle East. Like when Hillary Clinton the other night said that ISIS has to be stopped, but it's not America's job to do it. Well, it is our job. We are the world leader. And if we don't do it, they're going to come and attack us. So you can't have it both ways. But I hope that, for instance, people like Marco Rubio, others who are experts in foreign policy will come to the fore and make this an issue of foreign policy and national security and homeland security.
Yeah. Well, that's right. The Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State at the Democratic debate on Saturday night said, this is not America's fight. Real quick, Congressman, before you go, give us this sort of debate that's going on right now. Technology companies, telecom companies in America are encrypting messages, making it harder to actually get the information that officials may need to actually track terrorism.
Yes, they have this technology which is made available, which basically prevents anyone from following the conversations, following the communications, and they refuse to allow any way to come in, even under a court order, a warrant, to allow law enforcement to come in and monitor that information or get that information. They claim once you open the door, it's open forever. Well, to me, I mean, do they want blood on their hands? Do they want to have hundreds, if not thousands, of people killed because they want to sell an encrypted technology? We have to come to terms. We live in a dangerous, dangerous world, and human life should come first.
Yes, a very important discussion happening across the country right now based on national security and our privacy. Congressman, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for your insights, as always. We'll see you soon, sir.
Thank you, Maria.